Well, good evening. Thank you all who are here and online for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for this event, the Jaffrey Ringe Cooperative School District State of the District. Tonight, we will touch on a variety of topics. Some will be more in depth than others. And directly following the presentation this evening, those in attendance tonight, again, virtually or in person, we'll have the opportunity to ask some questions to myself or others on the panel here. That way, if something sparked your interest and you want to know more about that item, you will have the opportunity to learn more this evening. We will also share with you tonight other avenues to stay informed. The outline for our conversation can be seen on the screen. We will start with our why, then our how, and then our what. Starting at a broad, perhaps more philosophical lens, and then moving toward some specifics, some concrete areas. Our mission in the Jaffrey Ringe Cooperative School District is we inspire, engage, and empower all learners to thrive in their lives and community. In October 2017, the Jaffrey Ringe Cooperative School District held a 3-day educational visiting session. Nearly 80 community members who were business owners, clergy, teachers, school officials, and partners from higher education came together to develop the district's first strategic design, a future-focused guide for continuous school improvement. Our strategic direction was adopted by the school board on December 18th, 2017. Now, this team of stakeholders developed guiding principles or beliefs that have shaped our direction in the past several years and will continue to inform our practice moving forward. Some of these principles related to parents, educators, and community members are as follows. We take collective responsibility in ensuring the well-being of the whole child. We embrace intentional, transformative change. We work collaboratively toward common goals. We support the belief that learning occurs anytime and anywhere. We eliminate the barriers to successful learning for all. We encourage and support risk-taking. We need to have multiple opportunities for all stakeholders to be involved. And we define and create a positive culture. This fall, 2022, our school board adopted a multi-year plan. This framework, based on our strategic direction, provides a general theme of how we plan to operate, what we want to accomplish, and a description of the actions we are taking or plan to take in order to make this progress. Overall, our plan focuses on the intersection of 3 areas: communication, collaboration, and community. We believe that these are the areas that we need to continuously improve upon in order to reach our goals and come to realize our best future. And in order to grow in these areas, we need to focus on all of them simultaneously. A barrier to growing and achieving in a public school atmosphere in the 21st century context is its organizational structure representing how decisions are made. The majority of schools operate similar to what's in this picture, using a traditional hierarchy model. We were really no different than that. But this model is antithetical to the concept mentioned previously of building our community through intentional collaboration and enhanced communication. Our plan discusses our current shift away from this traditional approach to decision-making toward an intentionally collaborative model that, while not taking away current decision makers and removing them from the picture, it includes more individuals, our educators, and invites community partners into the process. This model encourages innovation and the ability to be more agile when change is needed. What we ultimately want to accomplish is to move our system to complete alignment. Inside the large arrows shown on the slide are a variety of smaller arrows. The large arrow refers to the desired direction of our school district. The small arrows represent curriculum, grade levels, schools, activities, mindsets, and more. When all of those smaller arrows and the large arrow point in the same direction, we will be able to reach a place where we will experience sustained school improvement. In order to develop this different approach to leadership and decision-making throughout the district, during the 2019-20 school year, the 2021 school year, and the 2022 school year, we formed a teacher leadership academy in partnership with Keene State College. Several individuals from this academy, all teachers in our schools, have taken both formal and informal leadership roles within our district since graduating from this leadership academy. Regarding partnership development, which will be a continuous effort moving forward, we have had recent success in developing a formal partnership with Franklin Pierce University. This is the first year of the partnership, and this partnership has brought with it education-oriented college students into our schools, working alongside our teachers and with our learners. We anticipate that in the years to come, this partnership will grow in size and in quality. If we take a look at the organizational structure slide again, the Keene State Partnership and the Franklin Pierce Partnership fit into this model by helping us to prepare our teacher leaders and supporting them in the work they do for our children. Another facet of the work that we are currently doing and will be doing for the next several years to enhance our learners' experience has to do specifically with the areas we typically think about when we talk about school: academics and learner behavior. The process of working as a decision-making team that our educators use is a PLC, or a professional learning community. This collaborative process includes reviewing and analyzing learner data, setting goals, making decisions about strategies that can be implemented when our learners need different types of supports, and planning how to implement those strategies. One of the areas our teams address is learner and school community behavior and culture. The district is currently in its second year of implementation of MTSSB, which stands for a multi-tiered system of support for behavior and wellness. This is not a program. Rather, it is a school district's process of using best practices that fits the needs of our particular context and community here in the Jaffrey Ringe area. One clear MTSSB step that our elementary schools have taken this year is to implement a school-wide responsive classroom strategies. School-wide implementation means that these practices are meant to be consistent through the school year, in each class, in each grade level, and throughout all the grade levels. The four key domains of responsive classroom are engaging academics, positive community, effective management, and developmentally responsive teaching. These pictures are of teachers in the elementary school setting, holding a daily morning meeting with learners and building grade level communities. PLCs also address matters of academic growth. This slide shows one example of recent math assessment data. This data shows proficiency levels at a specific grade level as measured by the New Hampshire State Assessment. A professional learning community is focused on the learning of all children. And the story behind this data is that the team working with these learners dedicated themselves to the professional learning community process. By working collaboratively as a team and with supports from other school partners, they were able to help all learners to grow. Furthermore, something important in the field of education is a phrase called closing learning gaps. And where there is often a gap is between the learning categories of regular education and special education. And this particular New Hampshire testing data shows a significant narrowing of this learning gap, which is one of the goals of the PLC. These teachers did a phenomenal job. The kids did as well. At the secondary level, PLCs have provided the teachers an avenue for developing and/or clarifying curriculum expectations in all subject areas. This is an example of a middle school learning goal. It's a critical tool necessary for the successful implementation of certainly the curriculum itself and for the teacher to instruct in class, but also for the implementation of the proficiency-based approach to curriculum instruction and assessment. And from both an academic and social emotional wellness perspective, we are very proud that our district is able to provide 4-year-old full-day preschool for all learners who entered the preschool lottery this year. We have approximately 90 preschoolers this year. With the support of the ESSER funds, we were able to expand preschool for this year and next year, and to provide this critical support for our communities and their families. If you recall from an earlier part of the presentation, we talked about the community's guiding principles. One of them is to take collective responsibility in ensuring the well-being of the whole child. With this principle in mind, our district continues to expand athletic and other club offerings or activities for our learners. In doing so, we believe our learners gain an increased sense of belonging, are challenged physically and mentally in different ways, and learn to effectively communicate, collaborate, and understand what it means to be a respectful, supportive member in a community. This year, our data shows that we have approximately half of our secondary learners already regularly involved in clubs and competitive athletics. A few examples of increased participation are the current middle school basketball teams, which are bursting at the seams, the Baking with Baker Club, taught by Mr. Baker, and our robotics team, which is starting its second year under the guidance of former school board chair Laurel McKenzie. Additionally, we just completed our first ever season of varsity girls volleyball. I want to take a moment right now to publicly thank an individual. I want to say thank you to Morgan Cooper for her dedication to these student athletes. This fall, Morgan taught elementary school by day diligently and worked with the high school volleyball players in the evenings. What a phenomenal example of how our teachers work in this district to support all children throughout all the grade levels. Critical to our mission is making certain our learners and staff come and stay in an environment each and every day that is safe. I am pleased to announce that we, the Jaffrey Ridge Cooperative School District, have been awarded SAFE grant funds to upgrade aspects of our middle school and our high school facilities. This would not have been possible without the collaboration between the school and our community's fire department and police departments. The chiefs from both departments have also given us valuable insight and support, not just through that process, but also as they have come in and worked with our teachers and our learners, providing them learning experiences, professional development on safety. All of what we do requires community support, which includes funding our schools each year. Currently, we are operating on a default budget. In preparation for this, we had to reduce 7 additional staff positions. Thankfully, we were able to bring everyone back, and that the collaborative culture of the secondary schools provided us with a way to do this while also maintaining critically important programming for our learners. Even with these cuts, we, like everyone else is experiencing, have faced the difficulties of the current financial climate. Transportation, food, special education costs, out-of-district placements, utility costs, they continue to rise. The district's business office and the school board finance committee are keeping a very close eye on this matter and meet regularly. Pertaining to budget and facilities, the district, through the use of grant funds, was able to pay for all new HVAC systems for both elementary schools. That work is scheduled to be completed within the next month. The CHS and JRMS HVAC work that the voters approved this past spring is progressing. And thank you to the voters for approving that. It's going to make a big difference for everyone. It is still progressing, and there's quite a ways to go with that project. In other financial news, we are well into our budget development season already. The entire school board will begin its work with the budget in early December. In addition to the budget this year, we plan to put forward a new collective bargaining contract for the JRSSA. That will go to the voters, assuming that we reach an agreement between the board and the Jaffrey Ringe Support Staff Association. Contract negotiations are currently ongoing. We've covered quite a bit of territory this evening. And it was really just an overview of many of the things that are going on. Some difficult, some really exciting. If you're interested in learning more about these areas, you're in luck. We have several locations you can go with a simple click of a button on Facebook, Instagram, our website, school newsletters. Most of them are sent through, some of them are sent through mail, some of them are sent through email. You can read these. You can listen to items on our website or our YouTube page. We can watch detailed information about many of the topics that I spoke with you tonight. Particular tools you might find helpful are our mobile app, which provides access to most of the locations I just discussed, and the live district calendar, which provides events from all of our schools, their dates, and information about them if you click into the calendar itself. We're having a great year here at Jaffrey Ringe Cooperative School District. Actually, I think it's the best one in the last many years. Thank you all for joining us this evening, and thank you for your continued involvement. And at this time, if there's anyone from the public who would like to ask any questions, we have some time for that to take place. Thank you.
So this is Nicholas Handy, communications coordinator behind the screen, running the live stream. For the folks in the in-person audience, if you wish to ask a question, you can do so by just raising your hand. I can bring over a microphone so that you can ask the question. It's not needed for this room, but it's needed so that the people online can hear. If you guys are online and you'd like to ask a question, you have the ability to do so by either using the chat feature, and you can type in a question there. Happy to read that out loud. Or if you want to use the hand raise feature at the bottom of your screen, if you push that, I'll be able to allow you to speak, and then you can ask your question. So do we have any in-person questions? Okay. We have one. Let me just grab the microphone real quick.
Layman's term,
1 second, Charlie. Testing.
I know that in the presentation, you used a lot of terms that were people in the room would understand, but sometimes the layman doesn't understand all these words. So could you go into a little bit more detail about what a PLC is, what it does, you know, who does it, and what it takes to do that? In other words, we have people spending time to do this in addition to their roles as educators. So could you just give it layman's terms, what it takes to do this?
I don't mind tackling that one. It's a pretty central piece of what we're focusing on at the middle high school this year. And essentially, as in the elementary schools, but at the middle high school, we focus on having teacher leaders who have gone through some additional training and are being compensated for that training. And they focus on guiding their colleagues during shared planning time into how to look at data. So they might pull state test data. We did a big preliminary testing day back in October. So they're collecting that information, and together they'll take a look, see if there are specific areas where they're missing the threshold with their learners, or there's specific things that maybe the team isn't reaching. And they'll look specifically at that, have discussions, look at what instructional techniques they've used. Is there a specific type of resource maybe they can try differently when they instruct to this the next time, things like that. So it's just teachers looking together at data about their kids, figuring out what works and what doesn't work, trying some new things for what doesn't work, and then collecting more data and continuing to do that until they reach a specific goal. And kind of at the center of this PLC process is thinking about student learning and having concrete goals that can be measured so you know if your work is effective. And one of the things we talk about early on as we set these PLCs up is that this isn't just trying things with hopes, it's trying things with expectations for change and outcome, and then adjusting course if things don't work. Because doing things without progress or without a process for knowing if there's progress is a waste of time versus what these groups do, which is trying to have some intentionality behind that. So the short answer is groups of teachers led by a teacher who's got some training, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't and do better to support kids.
Nick, if you can go back to the slide that has the organizational model. And yeah, just click on that one, that would be fine. So basically, another way of looking at it is a PLC, the PLC process is how the team conducts its business to be able to make decisions that are going to impact the school in a positive way. And they do that by impacting student learning in a positive way. Sometimes PLCs will work in tandem with one another. Some are temporary, some are more permanent in nature.
I can also give an example of some of the goals that our teams have set, because that can help to frame sort of what they're looking at. Our English language arts teams in both the middle and the high school actually came to very similar conclusions, that there's a pretty large gap from where learners come in sixth grade with selecting main points out of a text. They found that incoming fifth graders going into sixth grade, the scores and the achievement of that are very high, and then we don't really focus on it. So as they looked at the long-term, decline of those scores as they progressed through middle school and then through high school, there was a pretty clear realization that that was something that we're not focusing on in the middle and high school. So that led to some discussions on those teams. Why are we missing that? Is it because we're focusing on this batch over here that's doing well? Is it because we assume that this doesn't need instruction anymore? And they came to the conclusion that they really need to do some instruction with more complicated texts as they progress through. So their goal in both the middle and high school is to bulk that up and see some improvements in those test scores and kind of turn that curve around. The high school science team is another example that's really got a concrete goal. They realize that every time they're doing lab work that's hands-on and they have learners collecting data, the learners struggle to use those data tables and apply the math that they have to then reach a conclusion that's sound based on that data. So they've decided to focus on bulking up how they use plotting and different strategies for graphing, but more specifically, how they instruct learners to build that into their writing when it comes to showing their conclusions and how those are supported by data. So in both cases, the starting point was pulling from what they have for data and examples of learner work, having lots of conversations, and then figuring out where they want to try some different strategies.
So in our culture right now and in our region, staffing is a huge issue, finding people, finding qualified people. Can you speak to how the staffing is going both in regular ed and in special education here? Yeah, I appreciate that you've called out a couple of quality teachers, and I know that we have many, many more, and kudos to that. But are there gaps? Are there areas that we're really struggling in? And any goals for that?
So you want to start with special education? We can go to some of the schools to mention what's.
We had a really successful hiring season. Frankly, we've hired more staff this summer and early fall than we have in any one time probably ever before. That all being said, we still have open positions, especially in instructional associate positions. Generally, the staff that we've hired are really phenomenal. We've gotten really super fantastic people on board that are able to do a lot of really great things. So, and we also have really flexible staff. So we are doing a lot of moving and shaking. There's still holes, but we're covering it as well as we can. Goals moving forward, we continue to have those positions posted. We're always hiring. We just keep, we have really, really talented and people who really own and have great love for what they're doing. So it's going as well as can be expected.
At the middle high school, our staffing is in very good shape outside, both with student services, but also in general ed. We are still missing one teacher, which is a STEM position. We had an unexpected departure towards the end of the summer. We did hire somebody. Unfortunately, it just wasn't the right match, and that person didn't stay in the position. So we are back to having that as an opening. Otherwise, we've been very successful at recruiting to fill positions. We have a wonderful slate of new teachers that have really been changing the culture with some of their energy and ideas this school year, which has been wonderful. And I know that we are still able to attract people into our school district and in our school in particular. We do have, as the board just approved this past week, we have a teacher who's leaving for some personal reasons, and we already had a replacement of somebody who reached out and said that they had heard of the opening and were really excited and had all these very specific things that kind of drew them towards our school. So I know that a lot of the work that we're doing is really positive. The question we've asked ourselves and that we continue to focus on is, to your point, making sure that the existing staff, who are wonderful, and we do have a great, I mean, this is a fantastic building to work in. How do we keep them and make sure they don't get burned out? And some of the things that we've done this year for our very, very new teachers, because they're the ones most likely to decide this isn't the right career if they don't find success within their first couple of years. We've created a brand new teacher kind of academy for those 3 individuals who are in their very first year this year. And that includes having them come out every 5 or 6 weeks, work together as a cohort, do some intense curriculum work together. We're doing some domain 2, which is like classroom environment stuff with them in their 3rd session of doing this. And so they've created, in addition to their strong teacher mentors, also this cohort together that they can socialize with, have some comfort getting to know, plan and learn together. And they've given extremely positive feedback about how that's helping them to feel more safe and included in the community here. And then the 3rd thing that we're doing to try to make all of our staff, again, rekindle some of that community that was lost with COVID. We have our school adjustment counselor who's brought back a staff-led committee that's all about doing events together, building up some culture, celebrating the successes we're seeing. They've already been putting on several events. They've got things that all of a sudden pop up where they say, all right, this Friday is going to be one of our fun Fridays. We're going to go do X, Y, and Z together for people who want to go. And it's been very well attended and very well received. So that's something that this person came and asked, can we bring this back? And we were very supportive of making that happen. And the 4th thing is just trying to do whatever we can to reach out to teachers who may need some additional support, who may seek out additional support, to be available for them and provide lots of resources. So I think we're on the right track, but To your point, that is continually a struggle everywhere to make sure that our teachers feel safe, supported, and connected. And I think if we continue to do those things, we'll continue to do well with staffing.
I think at RMS, we're in a very similar position to the middle and high school. We have one position that is open. It's been open through the summer. We have interviewed and met with a number of absolutely fantastic candidates that unfortunately have taken opportunities elsewhere. We've also met with other candidates that we have chosen to not move forward with. And so while we would like to have that position filled, we're also not willing to compromise the standards and the expectations that we have for that kind of position. And so making sure that we fill the positions that we have with strong quality candidates. We were in a fortunate position at RMS to have 4 JREA positions that we needed to fill coming in, or 5 with the one that we still have open. And they were all sort of unique positions, like a school nurse and a music teacher, a preschool teacher. Those additions have been fabulous additions to our community. They are skilled and knowledgeable and strong in their areas, and they've been a great addition to our team. We would love to have a few more associates to kind of even the load a little bit. That's a work in progress. And, you know, as applications come in, we meet with candidates and move forward if they're a good fit. I whispered to Reuben at the beginning of the meeting that I had some good news. We have a long-term sub opening that we now have 2 candidates for, which is really great because we've had 0 since September. So that's exciting. But I think a lot of the things that David shared about keeping the culture within our schools positive and supportive. We've done a lot of work at RMS this year with community meetings, bringing the staff together and celebrating, bringing our students together. If you've been on Facebook this week, you can see that the RMS Eagle merchandise store is now up and running. So you can get your RMS merchandise. We have a new logo that students gave input on. So there's lots of great things happening that are making the school feel joyful, like a school community, which we've really missed in the last couple of years. So lots of great things happening. Looking for a math interventionist. If you're out there and you'd like a job, yeah, please apply. But otherwise, we're doing really well. Nice plug. Yeah.
Certainly many similarities at JGS. Historically, JGS has been a school where people come and stay a long time. So it's been unusual for us over the past few years to have more openings. And this year we had more classroom openings, 3, which doesn't sound like a large number, but that's unusual for us to hire that many new classroom teachers. We also had an art teacher. So we also did quite a bit of hiring. Again, that historical perspective, there were years we had over 100 candidates for 1 classroom position. This year, I don't know, there would be sometimes 12. So very different, but we also are just thrilled with the new teachers that we have working in the building. They bring great skill sets, great energy, and are, you know, becoming our part of the culture already. We also have had some issues with instructional associates. We've had 2 new associates start in the last 3 weeks or so, which has been wonderful, made a huge difference. We had a Title I adjustment counselor position that was posted unfilled and was recently reposted. And we have we think a viable candidate that we're very excited about. So again, things are looking up. We are excited to be back into doing school community things, whole school assemblies, community meetings, whole school events. We have family fun night coming up again with staff pitching in to help with. So it feels good to be back in that place.
Yes, when the Commissioner of Education was here to talk about the tutor program, he also said that Jeffrey Ringe was a leading edge school district. So are there some other leading edge programs, concepts, processes, learning strategies, and so forth that we can add as another learning edge or another leading edge thing for our district.
I mean, I think something that's pretty leading edge, and it's why we've continued to have community forums about it at the middle high school, is jumping on board with the learning progressions and using the I can statements so concretely. And even now scoring, assessing, and reporting using only that system. For a high school to be doing that is unusual. It's the direction that things are going, but it usually takes a long time for high schools to jump into that. And I think because our teachers have been so invested in the curriculum work to design that, they understand how the model works. They understand the purpose of a 2 versus a 3 versus a 4 in a system like that. They've led the charge in making a transition away from a traditional grade system, a traditional assessment system, into a 1 to 4 learning progression type of system, and using a tool that's geared specifically for that. And I don't know of another school around here anyways, that's that close to saying, yep, we're fully in with this whole, proficiency system, so that we can then move to the next phase of beginning to personalize the types of evidence that we would collect and things like that. I think that's pretty cutting edge. When we had the admissions panel here, they said as much, that yes, lots of schools are doing this, but the way that this district is doing it is very deliberate, specific, and seems to be a good model that is being put in place. So I think that's something to be proud of. And again, it's our teachers in the middle and high school who made that leap based on the work they're doing, which I also think is pretty remarkable, and speaks to them as professionals.
I'm sorry. Do you want to ask a question about that? Or?
Yeah, I was going to ask about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are two other, I didn't even think of the discipline process in the handbook that we've created to guide that. But we still have work to do in terms of the on the ground implementation of that. But you're absolutely right. Our school, the middle high school, was pulled for a state. The state's basically creating a guidebook to design a progression of discipline system that centers around learning and equity. And they pulled our specific handbook and guide and interviewed our administrators in terms of the process, because they believe that what we've outlined in the systems we're creating, in their words, is a model that they want to see implemented across the state. So that was a pretty big deal. I'm still waiting to see the draft of what they created from the guts of our plan. But having that mindset and philosophy and those structures, definitely, that's another one. And the Otis LMS, I would agree as well. That goes hand in hand with supporting the 1 to 4 grading and trying to collect evidence that aligns with our learning goals. Being fully implemented in with that system is, again, I think that's pretty cutting edge.
Reuben highlighted early childhood education, but I think that deserves another shout out to have been one of the first districts in the area, certainly probably in the state, to be offering our level of free general education, public preschool for 4-year-olds is amazing and shows a great commitment to our youngest learners.
And
It's
I'll echo, and their families.
Right.
There's so much research that's been done on the importance of early childhood learning, and it's not just about the benefits for that child, it's the benefits for the community. There's immediate and future benefits for the family. Sometimes individuals, I mean, it's a childcare issue sometimes as well, and parents are able to work knowing that their children are taken care of. And in this type of economy, that's really, really important. And so when those children are coming back, their parents are refreshed, they can spend time with them, they have a better experience outside of the school time as well. And so, I mean, we all, we who have been parents know that it's challenging to have jobs, to have family, to do all that, and for the school to jump. And really, we've been doing it since 2017. 2017, we've been starting this process, and to continue on with the work that we've started so many years ago, and to continue making those forward gains. It's really neat to see. Again, 90 kids.
That's incredible.
That's great.
I think though too, we're not, and I would say this is true for both Jeffrey Grade School and Ridge Memorial School, we're not a K-5 school with preschool. We're a pre-K through 5 school. Pre-K is very much part of the school culture. They're ingrained in this, they're embedded into the school day, they're integrated into school programs, they come to community meeting, they participate in buddy activities with older classes. So it's not, pre-K doesn't exist as a separate entity. We're not a kindergarten through 5th grade school with preschool. We truly are PK through 5th grade schools. Those pre-K school students are integrated into the wider school community.
Participating in art, music, PE, all
Yeah.
the specials, so.
Yeah.
It's pretty fantastic.
I would also add what was born in a very quick way out of necessity this year, but I think is developing over time into a really great model is what the Student Services Department has been doing. And if they won't toot their horn, I'll toot it for them. Jumping in with hiring co-teachers to help support regular and special ed learners and embedding them into the classroom instruction process over time. I think that's a pretty cutting edge approach to providing both, tier 1, everybody support, but also specialized instruction and supporting learners with IEPs. And it's taking a lot of strain on getting the training programs built. And it's a big investment of time and energy and kind of a leap of faith. But I think it's the right approach in the long term. And we kind of jumped into it. And it's worked out in many ways very well. There's some areas for growth for sure, but I would put that up there again as something that's not something every school does, but it's a great model to be investing in.
I'll just shout out for, again, similar to this model that's up there with the teams of teachers. I just had a meeting 2 days ago with a group of individuals who have volunteered to take part in a pilot evaluation program. And there turned out to be an odd number of them, as one was unable to continue on with the process. And as they're pairing up, because it's a process where teachers are going to be observing each other and giving each other feedback on multiple occasions throughout the course of the year, really focusing on co-creating their learning. It's a neat pilot project, and from them, these individuals weren't part of the development of the pilot. They were thinking like, oh, okay, do we make a list? How do we pair up, to who's going to observe whom and all that? And a member said, we're a cohort. We can, let's look at our schedules. We can figure this out. And it doesn't have to be one person with one person. We can do this all and work with the administration. Have no problem working with administration to try to figure out how to do it. And I think one, that's evidence of that risk taking that we talked about. And two, of just being willing to take that leap and being proud of working with one another. Similarly, we have a pilot going on right now with mentor programming, which was spoken about a little bit earlier in pieces, that we're providing a lot more targeted instruction with domain 2, which is the behavior and classroom management side of things, which is a typical area of sometimes difficulty for first year teachers, and we have several. And so we've just been trying different approaches. We've hired individuals to come in, external individuals to come in and observe and not evaluative and give feedback and meet one-on-one with people. We've had seminars. The mentors themselves have done the observations and back and forth. It's just been a very vibrant and fluid time, which is exciting. So we're looking to learn. We're just trying to learn.
I think that all ties to teacher leadership, which is really cutting edge. The teachers are hard to.
So a tiny change of track. John, I appreciate you waiting there. I would love.
Saving the best for last.
And saving the best for last. Could you give us, the HVAC was mentioned, that is something that the voters approved, and could you give us just a little, I know this might, I don't want to end on a negative note, but there's some really exciting things that have been happening facilities this year. Could you talk about some of the things that you're particularly really pleased with, and also give an update on the HVAC?
Oh, absolutely. First, I'd like to talk about the staff. Our maintenance staff is fully staffed, but they have gone through an awful lot during our transition from old equipment to new equipment, and there's so much that is done behind the scenes that people don't realize that when you do switch over equipment, you still have to have the air circulating, you still have to have heat, especially this time of the year. And there's a lot of ups and downs, there's a lot of hiccups that happen behind the scenes, a lot of emergencies that they run and take care of, but they've been doing an excellent job. They've been staying on top of their work orders, which is a new software system, by the way, the Master Library work order system and events. They've transitioned that very well, and we're also putting in costing for every work order that is done. We know exactly what it's costing us. They enter all their labor, they enter in the materials. So now we can pull up anything that they do in any work order and know exactly what's going to cost the district for it. So they've done, I can't say more about the maintenance team and the custodian team. They've been working uphill. Staffing, we're short. The labor market, as everyone knows, is tough. It's very competitive. We've had a lot of people come up to the plate, sign up, want to come, but then all of a sudden you find out their current employer gives them a counter offer, which is huge. People are just doing anything to keep their people, so we haven't been able to bring on the people that we like. We're RMS, I think we're fully staffed there, and I think we're doing very well at RMS. It's a great team down there. At JGS, we're down a couple people, night person, day person. Our existing staff custodians are pitching in and rotating and trying to keep the head above the water. We have an outside service, cleaning service that we've been leaning on. That has helped us out in JGS and over here at the middle school and high school. And they're just going above and beyond the call of duty, trying to keep things going. Could we do better? Yes, but we just need more people to do better. The middle school and high school, we're down a couple people. We do have 4 student custodians now. We didn't have that before. We had 1 or 2, I think, last year. We have 4 now, and they're just humming along. They work like 3 to 7. And they're realizing that what goes on in a school behind the scenes. So it's a good education for them, and they're doing a great job. We do need a couple more part-timers, full-timers, which we're looking for in the middle school and high school, which will help out tremendously. But the people that are here, which are mostly part-timers, and the one full-timer at night, he's here, he closes down by himself at 10 o'clock. He's it for the whole building. So, you can just see what they're trying to do behind the scenes, and they're doing a great job. And again, I can't say enough about the custodians too. The team that we have, which is fantastic. They really are. The HVAC systems up to date. We are currently turning over the old system to the new systems at the grade schools. In fact, last week, including this week, they're connecting the new equipment, all of it. It's a process that you just don't plug it in and let it go. You have to have licensed people from the manufacturer come in and actually start it up, make sure everything's working right. And there's always hiccups when you plug anything in that's new. And we've had our share of hiccups. But I was talking to the superintendent of the EDI today about the systems. And they're a little bit ahead with RMS. They were thinking at the end of November, they'd have everything turned on. They're in the middle of turning them on now. JGS, I know they spent last week turning their systems on. They do have some more work to do because there's a lot of unit ventilators in both those grade schools that we just don't want to unplug and take out, because that's the only heat source they would have right now. So they want to make sure everything is okay and working properly. And so we're looking at the end of December to probably take out all those unit ventilators in the grade schools. And there's some cosmetic construction work that has to be done, masonry and concrete stuff to patch up the holes that they're gonna make. But the number 5, which is the gym, next week, Wednesday, I believe, they're going to bring crane in and replace number 5, which is the Pratt gym, and get that connected hopefully within a week or so after they put it in place. We just had number 2, which is part of the middle school, that we had problems with that, but now we just got that up and running. Number 1, I'm saying numbers, but they're middle school rooftops. That's up and running. So it's coming, the middle school and high school, I know they're on target. It's hard when you're in session and they're trying to work around classrooms and so forth, but I think all in all, with the change supply problems that we've been having, labor issues that they have too. I mean, they're not alone. They have their labor issues too, and spread out thin, electricians and duct people. But they're working nights, they're working weekends, they're doing everything they possibly can to stay on schedule. They might have slipped a couple weeks here and there, but it's construction, that happens. But I think that the plan to have the grade schools done by the end of the year is still on target. To have all that done. And I think, I see so much going on in the back, and then we have a software package up front that handles all of this HVAC equipment, and that is in transition. So you can just imagine us, with software packages, old and new, and trying to keep them both going, the old one's going, the new one's going, and the one switches over the new one, so you got to switch over to another software to keep it all going. That all happens behind the scenes, that the maintenance department and so forth is trying to keep going, so the people don't know anything has happened or changed. And I think they've been doing a pretty smooth job considering the massive project that has been undertaken, and with the people that we have. I just kudos to everybody.
All right, do we have any more questions in person? No? All right, and last call for our online audience. Again, just a reminder, if you want to be heard, just use the hand raise feature at the bottom of your screen. I do see that we also have somebody phoning in. If you want to make a comment, you can it's *9, and then that would be the same as a hand raise, and then we could acknowledge you. All right, not seeing anybody on the online portion.
All right, I want to thank everyone for coming here this evening again. And thank you to all the community for supporting us, supporting our teachers, supporting our administration, supporting our kids, supporting our HVAC systems so that we can put them into place. It's a lot of work, and it takes a community working together to do great things, and we're doing great things. So thank you so much.